With me today we have Chief Jeff Swoboda, and we also have, is it Deputy Chief, Commander, is it, I don't...
Commander.
Commander. There's so many different titles now. It's not like the old days when Jeff was, Deputy Chief.
Still just Jeff and Anna.
Yeah. So we have Jeff and Anna Lalley. So thanks guys for coming in. I know we've got a bunch of things going on today, but I know I had a phone call earlier just before you got here about some kind of stuff going on Chicago Street, and there was a bunch of officers, and you followed up on that, so maybe you could tell us a little bit of what's going on, because it's still kind of happening, right?
Yeah, and it's not even exactly sure what's going on, but just found some, maybe some microfilm on the street, and so it sounds like it was kind of strewn all over, so there's a few officers out there picking it up and trying to determine where it came from. So it just literally is happening as we speak, so I just got a text explaining that very quickly. So more to come, I'm sure, with that if it turns out to be anything. But they just found some kind of microfilm on the street, and now they're figuring out what it is.
Also today is, and which was my first guess, was, well, maybe you've got officers meeting up because, Cop on a Rooftop is happening today, and maybe they were getting together or shift change because they're only up there for, a certain amount of time, and that wasn't it. But can you talk to the Cop on a Rooftop a little bit? What's going on with that?
Well, before we do that, I'll let Anna talk about Cop on a Top. But yeah, that does happen quite a bit, because when you first asked me why we're 4 cars together at a rope house, it is somewhat routine that we'll do that. I know our rope officers last night did what we call a directed patrol, where they meet up in one spot and then go into a certain area, into a neighborhood. Sometimes they're on bikes, sometimes they're on foot, sometimes they bring their squad cars and are actually doing traffic stops, or we're doing a walk and talk. So it's not uncommon to have 4 or 5 squad cars at one location or into one parking lot, and then kind of getting their planning on what they're going to go and do in a certain neighborhood. So wasn't surprised to hear that we had many cars over at the Rope neighborhood. But with that, yes, it's a beautiful morning out there, and it's Cop on the Top at Dunkin' Donuts here in Elgin, and Anna Lalley and Detective Wolick have pretty much coordinated that, so I'm going to let her kind of talk about what that is.
Yeah, so this morning we're out at Dunkin' Donuts at 95 Clock Tower, and it's for Cop on Top, which is a fundraiser for Special Olympics Illinois. The goal is obviously to raise money for Special Olympics, and then also to provide awareness for the athletes that participate in the Special Olympics, which take place in June in Normal, Illinois. So this is our second fundraising effort. We started with Polar Plunge, which was in March, where we jump into the cold water. So we really don't get too many volunteers for that. But
you had a bunch this time, though, didn't you?
We did. We had a lot of explorers that helped out, and
like 40-something.
Yeah, we had a lot.
There was
I think
a lot.
we won it. I think we had like most participation.
We did. So that was their first time. So you can trick them the first time, then they realize.
Next year they'll be half
all right.
of that.
So, but this morning, as the chief said, it's a beautiful morning. Cop on Top. We basically put some officers on top of Dunkin' Donuts, and then we have officers who will be in the parking lot. Any donation, even if it's a penny, you get a coupon from Dunkin' Donuts for a free donut. Any donation over $10, you receive a coffee mug. We have shirts for sale for the Torch Run, which is in June, which is basically a run that law enforcement officers participate in, again, to raise awareness for Special Olympics. And, we have members from our Citizens Police Academy, Alumni Academy. We have our records clerks out there. We have our civilian personnel. We have officers. So it's a really great event to raise, money for a really great cause. And just this morning, Dave Shelton, who's a local business owner, he usually comes by early in the morning. He gave us a check for $500. Nice. So we raise a lot of money. We'll be out there till about 1 o'clock. My partner, Detective Wolick, helps me kind of organize it, and all the members of the police department help out too, so it's not just me and Wolick, but we get up in the morning and get set up, and then people just rotate throughout the day. Even if they just stay for 10 minutes or a half hour, the chief will come out, go on the roof. We usually get a lot of attention there, so it's a great cause. And
he goes out with the flowing robes and the crown and everything.
People like to see the chief, so it's we get a lot of horn honking and a lot of waving and a lot of smiling. So
Sorry,
yeah.
I know I always do that too. Now you're gonna have to do that all day, right?
Exactly.
So if anyone's in the area, please stop by to help support the cause, and we really, really appreciate it.
I know my brother-in-law up in Canada anyway participates in the Special Olympics, and so that's a very near and dear to me. He's taken several gold medals for bowling. So
absolutely.
It's very cool. It's very good cause, and I thank you guys for doing that and being up there. And unlike years past, no rain.
No rain.
I mean,
I think last year we had some rain.
I think it did.
I want to say the
Yeah.
last 3 or 4 or something, or pretty
Yeah.
close to. It's been bad weather, so
Yeah,
good.
it's going to be a great day. So
Yeah, it's great, and Linda Hageman with the State's Attorney's Office is really kind of the driving force for it county-wide, and this is, again, as Anna said, it's a statewide thing, but you see the pictures. I know we have a golf outing in the summer, and some of the Olympians come out and participate with us, and it's money that is well spent to give them an opportunity to participate in some of the sporting events. And they do. I mean, the smiles on their face, even at the golf outing that are there, and so it's just a great event. And so I like the little turn on, because we always get talked about for having donuts and at the donut shop. So I love that we do it at the
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
right?
we do it on the roof of Dunkin' Donuts. So it's a perfect event, and there's already an Ann and Tom. They coordinated, but really just the people that come out. And when I was there, the midnight shift already had 4 or 5 guys up on the rooftop. Our Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association was out there. And what I really like seeing too, just as I was leaving, some of our records clerks were out there as well. Russ Manson's really pushing to get our records department out and become really, part of the community. Everybody in the police department kind of on
Is
board.
that how you guys get up on the roof? You just get up on Russ's shoulders? Because the guy's like 6'8" or something like that, isn't he?
Right. I think he's 6'5".
Okay.
So yeah,
He seems just huge.
Right. And I say that just because he gets mad when I know he gets mad when.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, when he's only.
Sorry, Russ.
He's
only
He's
6'5".
7 foot or something.
Yeah. A couple other things, and we'll keep it light, and then we'll talk about the last one. But digital speed sign, and I know this is kind of here's a speed sign that was stolen. And it was only like 45 minutes after it was put up. I mean, I first read it, I giggled. I'll be honest. I was like, okay, that's funny. But it's a $5,500 piece of equipment. I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's nothing to laugh at, I guess. But
We get it. It's the police department, and now it's stolen, and so yeah, it came right after, like you said, pretty shortly after we put it.
So
up.
this went up in like a neighborhood?
Yeah.
Right? And then, because I see these all the time, and it just shows you your speed, right? It doesn't ticket you. It's not like a red light camera or anything like that. It's just kind of an awareness thing, right? For the most part. It just,
hoping people
your speed
realize,
is
wow, I'm going a little
45
bit faster
and-
than I need to, and so it's probably one of the most common complaints we get at any neighborhood meeting is speeding cars, cars, stop sign violations, and so we've really mostly used grant money to purchase these, and but they're expensive because a regular radar is expensive. Not to mention this is a mobile one. Some of them that we have are actually solar powered, where we put them out there, and so they don't need battery backup.
Yeah.
So they're expensive, and we were able to retrieve this one by following up with it, where using the GPS, and so we do have it back, but it is something I get why people get a kick out of it. The police department put it up, and some said, do you think that was a protest against speeding? I don't know.
Can you look at it? I mean, I don't know. Was this something where the sign was only placed, say, 6 feet off the ground or 7 feet? I mean, can they be placed 10 feet off the ground on a pole and pointed? Like, how does that whole with radar work? I mean, does it have to be at a certain height and angle? I mean, will that throw off radar if it's not just
angle,
right?
Yeah, radar generally speaking, and now we're going more towards LiDAR, which is the laser, so that can become more accurate. But I know in the old days, you pretty much have you head on with something.
Right.
You don't want to, you can't get it going from the side. But the people who set it up, and I'll be honest, I don't know exactly how they figure out if there's a way to adjust it, or that it's told to be 10 feet off the ground. And if it is, then we have Russ hang it, because then we don't need a ladder. But
You're in trouble now.
generally speaking, we have our traffic control. They move those around, and we get requests from time to time, and pretty much not from time to time, all the time, about having one of those. And there's different size ones we can hang on the pole. We have one that we actually have a trailer for because it's larger. And so we also use those to collect data. How many cars are going down the street? What's the percentile that is speeding? And that helps determine what the speed limit should be based on that. So we take all requests and then kind of prioritize based on who needs it the most. If there were accidents there, or how many people are asking for it versus one person just kind of said it, and mention it in passing. Hey, do you mind if I got one someday? So that's kind of what how we use those.
We also had a traffic accident that resulted in a death. This was Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
5
o'clock.
night. And I guess, the one part of it, and, I think a lot of people don't understand, was it was attempted to be pulled over just previous to this, not long before, right, on a traffic stop, but he fled at a high speed, and because it was in a residential neighborhood, I'm guessing, the pursuit was stopped, right? I mean, for safety reasons, I assume, right? Can you talk a little bit more about the case, and then maybe about pursuing and what kind of decisions are made, and I know you guys train to that as well.
Yeah, it's something we talk about a lot, and with this case, I think it was just yesterday that we do a debrief after any major incident, and I haven't even received that yet, so it's still under investigation, so I don't want to go too far with what was determined and not. But, in a nutshell, our officers know that someone was wanted and try to make a traffic stop on the person, and rather than pull over, decided to take off at high rate of speed and went around a car traveling on a side street, and it appears the officers, then immediately turned off their lights, and it was, made that decision, which was a good decision, and blocks up the road. The person then went through a stop sign and struck and killed a motorist who was just driving home on his way home, and killed him. And so, a gentleman from Mr. Tejas from Carpentersville. And so, the person who caused this crash and killed this man is still in the hospital, as well as the passenger, had a female passenger with her, and they are both still in the hospital, and we're working through charges that will be coming. So, just completely, unnecessary crash, and that's so that's that.
I think one of these, it's one of those. I feel right if you're. I don't know the correct saying, and if I don't make anybody upset by saying that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, almost, right? I mean, if you pursue them, and God forbid a child walks out in front of the street while you're pursuing down a residential neighborhood, and a squad car should strike a child, you're going to be blasted, right, for that. If you let them go, and something happens, you're blasted for that. How do you win there?
Well, when officers, before we decide to have a pursuit, we make a traffic stop, somebody decides to take off, and again, we won't use this case specifically,
right.
But
So
in any case,
general, yeah.
we make a traffic stop and somebody decides to take off. Officers immediately have to run through probably 10 to 15 different things in their mind to figure out if they're going to pursue. First of all, what are they going to stop the person for? What's the time of day?
For, if you know.
Do we know the person? Because if we know it's Mike Greene and we know the car and you're wanted for something that we know we can just get you later.
We'll find you later. Tomorrow at 5
Find you the next time, right? So what's the crime they're wanted for? Is there another way to get this person where it's my surroundings? Are there is it 3 o'clock in the morning? We're out on Route 20, or is it 5 o'clock in the afternoon, rush hour in a residential neighborhood? Is it raining out? Is it sunny? Again, time of day. All those things come into play. Is there snowing? Will I be able to stop? So officers have to run through this quick checkpoint.
Split second.
Yeah, and it was actually, again, for preliminary reports, because I haven't seen the final, the debrief, but from all accounts, I mean, the officers try to make a traffic stop, and that's what I always tell people, the minute we don't want our officers out there looking for people who are wanted and trying to make traffic stops and take them into custody, that's not going to be a good day. We want officers out there being proactive, finding the people who are wanted and putting them back in jail. And they tried to make this traffic stop, saw, car was going to go way too fast and went around somebody and said, no, absolutely not. Turned it off and made that decision. And then, again, Mr. Llewellyn decided to continue to high rate of speed, blowing stop signs, taking absolutely no regard for anybody else's life or anything. And again, innocent guy just driving down the road. I had multiple people tell me, oh my gosh, I was 5 minutes behind that, I was 5 minutes in front of that, I had my kids there. I mean, that is one of the ones, that it absolutely could have been any one of us. And it's just a reminder again, when we have the officers out there, whether it's people with handguns or people who drive cars completely recklessly. I mean, there's a number of people out there who have absolutely no regard for the safety of any of us. And I'm proud that officers continuously are out there trying to find them people and, again, bring them into custody as quickly as possible because, this was just a completely tragic event. Absolutely.
What else? We've got a couple minutes maybe. Did you have anything that you wanted to follow up on? Anna, did you have anything? And just, no.
No, I'm
You're here to show up.
I'm here.
Anna showed up for the cop on top.
Yeah.
She told me to mention it. I said, why don't you just come and do it? So she agreed nicely. Just a very busy weekend last weekend, a lot of events, and just a thank you to Willow Lakes out there. They had a beautiful event on Saturday. My days last week, 3-day weekends always mess you up. Last weekend, I believe it was Saturday morning, that they, out on their island, they had a monument for military personnel and then also police and fire. And it was just a beautiful setting, and Ray Russell was kind of the MC and kind of sounds like the person who spearheaded it, but multiple people there. And just so thank you to Willow Lakes. always have a great time out there at their holiday party. I know last summer Anna and I were, as well as Sherry and everybody, the party was all started up, and then the storm came, and that group was moving all the tables inside, and it was a very hectic, hot, steamy day. But that group is always just so supportive of not only the police department but just each other. So nice shout out to Willow Lakes, and then Steve Thorne actually did a great job out at the cemetery. I know that was another of the many
Monday,
absolutely just beautiful events. Just a gorgeous cemetery, but obviously for a very solemn occasion, being Memorial Day. But just a very nice, and I know the gentleman from the Navy, I can't remember what his rank was, I apologize, but he basically said he goes to a lot of ceremonies for military, and Elgin does it right with that cemetery, the Bluff City Memorial that was out there. He was a sergeant major, I'm just being told by Steve and Fred. So just an absolutely gorgeous event, and and the running of the race went well, and had some officers out there running in it, and it was a good weekend. It sounds like this weekend's more, not a whole lot of special events. I don't know, I'm probably going to get somebody mad because somebody probably has a special event or a garage sale that I'm now saying
you gonna come and do Tradio later? Is that what you're saying? 12:30?
Tradio's going on, huh?
Yeah. Garage sales and all the rest, yeah.
You got an 82 vet for sale. Is that something you can do for a Tradio? All right,
yeah,
call back.
Call in. All right. Well, guys, thank you very much for coming in. Anna, thank you for coming, and have a safe weekend.
Thanks. You guys do the same.
All right, you're listening to AM 1410, WRMN.
And Elgin.